week's show, a person called in, Swa called in from L.A., and had a question that you mentioned that you wanted to answer, and I asked him to Gmail me, and he did, and I'm going to start today's show off by reading his question. Swa says this. He says, Mr. Fuller, during the destruction and mistreatment of the Jews during the Holocaust, do you think the Jews could have been found clowning, dancing, and squabbling around, or do you think they were serious about preventing their destruction? I asked this question because in the present day, during the destruction and mistreatment of black people, blacks do not seem serious about improving their situation. Swa from University of California, Berkeley.
Well, it's been my observation that most people are very serious about serious things, but black people have a long reputation for being serious about everything that's silly and silly about everything that's serious. That's our rep. And it's been justifiably earned because we are sort of trained that way. That's why we turned out to be the slaves of the system of white supremacy very easily and have remained so and are known to be just that. We are under the system of white supremacy, and they set it up and made it that way, and you can't very well compare black people's situation with anybody's situation that has ever been in recorded history, because a complete job was done on black people. Other people, down to the ages, many people have mistreated people. White people themselves have mistreated each other. But the people who are being mistreated have somehow managed to limit the damage done by the mistreatment, all down through history. Different tribes, even today in 2020, mistreat each other, and people within a tribe mistreat each other. But usually the damage is done on a limited basis. It'll be a few years here and a few years there, and then things will die down for a long period of time, and then mass mistreatment will set in again at some other point. But black people worldwide have been under the system of white supremacy consistently, and the mistreatment is well ingrained. So it's just no comparison between the enslavement of black people with any other people that has ever been in recorded history. None. Zero. Black people have been mistreated more than anybody and have participated on a mass scale in mistreating each other because of the mistreatment that they receive, because mistreatment is something that black people almost worship. We, even today in 2020, just joking around, what we call just innocent jokes and whatnot, is usually some type of put down, even in our language. It's just our custom of doing things, particularly in the Northwestern Hemisphere. The closer black people have been to white people, the more disparaging black people act toward each other and toward everything that they encounter. Very destructive we are. Very destructive. I mean, have almost total contempt for anything that has constructive value. But we have been trained that way. And so when we start talking about making those comparisons, there's really no comparison in the devastation that black people have endured down through as far back as anybody can remember, even in old drawings on rocks, to the extent that the people had some type of paint. You'll see black people in several conditions, always always blackness, anybody with black skin. I mean, something to be disdained, something to have total contempt for. Why? Because they don't matter. They're worthless. They're just in the way. Where did they come from? I mean, how did anybody even think to create something like a thing called a black person? Why would anybody even do that? Why would the Creator do that? My goodness. I mean, get it out of sight. I mean, we can't stand even for it to be around, except to kick around. And that's the reputation that we have right here in 2020, more than anybody on the planet. And so it's our job to see to it this year, before this year is out, if we can, that reputation is no longer valid at all, period.
Alrighty.
That's what the compensatory code, that's what this program is supposed to be about, making it the way that it ought to be, ought to have been in the first place.